Lily Marsh was 16 the day her foster mother locked the front door and slid the chain across. She had a backpack with 2 shirts, a water bottle, a library card, and $11 in crumpled bills. The woman's voice came muffled through the wood. The state stopped paying. You're not my problem anymore. Willie stood on the porch for a full minute, waiting for something, an apology, an explanation, anything. Nothing came. She stepped off into the October rain. The kind that didn't fall hard but soaked through everything slowly, quietly, like it had all the time in the world. The streets of Crestfield, Ohio were empty by dusk. Storefronts dark, gutters running. The air smelled like wet concrete and rotting leaves. If I don't figure something out tonight, I sleep outside, she thought. Her shoes were already soaked through. Her fingers were going white at the tips. She walked until her legs ached, past the closed gas station, past the boarded-up dollar store, until she reached the east end of town where the road turned to gravel and the streetlights gave up. That's when she saw it, a piece of yellow paper, water-stained, stapled to a telephone pole. County property auction, Saturday only. Below it, a short list. Most items were crossed out. One wasn't. Condemned church, Ridley Road, parcel 19. Starting bid $250. Lily stared at the number. 250. She had 11. She almost laughed. Almost. She kept walking. But the paper stayed in her head. The next morning, Lily found the county clerk's office. A tired woman behind the counter barely looked up. She explained that one property had no bidders. No one wanted it, structurally condemned 2 years ago. Back taxes owed. The county just wanted it off the books. How much? Lily asked. The woman finally looked at her. Honey, it's $250, but nobody's touched that place in years. The roof leaks. The foundation's cracked. There's probably mold in every wall. Lily set her jaw. I have $11. The woman blinked. That's not $250. I know, but no one else is here. The clerk stared at her for a long moment, then sighed and picked up the phone. 20 minutes later, a man in a gray suit walked in. Gerald Hutchins, county assessor. He looked at Lily like she was a math problem that didn't add up. You want the church on Ridley Road? Yes, sir. He leaned back. You're a kid. I'm 16. That's a kid. He studied her. The county needs it off the ledger. Liability issues. He tapped his pen against the desk. Tell you what, $11 and you sign a liability waiver. The property is yours as is. No complaints, no lawsuits. You understand as is? Lily nodded. She signed everything they put in front of her. She didn't understand half of it, but she signed it anyway. The clerk handed her a key, old, heavy iron. Good luck, she said. Same words. Different voice, same emptiness behind them. The church sat at the end of Ridley Road like something the town had tried to forget. The front doors hung at an angle. Half the windows were shattered. Ivy crawled up the stone walls so thick it looked like the earth was trying to swallow the building whole. Lily pushed the door open. It groaned. Inside, the air was cold and thick with the smell of mildew and old wood. Pews were overturned. Plaster had fallen from the ceiling in chunks. Water stains ran down every wall like brown rivers. Pigeons scattered from the rafters. She looked up. Through the holes in the roof, she could see gray sky. The bell tower rose above everything, tall, dark, its narrow staircase disappearing into shadow. Something about it pulled at her. Not yet, she told herself. Fix what you could reach first. She dropped her backpack on the least damaged pew and got to work. That's when a voice came from the doorway. Well, well, Lily turned. A woman stood at the entrance, mid-50s, blonde hair pulled tight, wearing a pressed wool coat that probably cost more than everything Lily had ever owned combined. Margaret Bellamy, town council chair, according to the campaign signs Lily had seen stapled over every other telephone pole. Margaret looked around the church with a thin smile. So, you're the one who bought this disaster. Lily said nothing. Margaret stepped inside, heels clicking on the stone floor. Sweetie, this building should have been demolished a year ago. The foundation is shot. The bell tower is a death trap. She tilted her head. What exactly do you plan to do here? Live, Lily said. Margaret laughed. One short, sharp sound. Oh, honey. She shook her head and walked back toward the door. Give it a week. You'll be begging the county to take it back." Her heels clicked way down the gravel path. Lily stood alone in the cold church. Her chest was tight, her eyes burned. She balled her fists and whispered to no one, "I'm not leaving." Days bled into weeks. Every morning Lily woke before dawn on a pallet of old blankets she'd found in a donation bin behind the thrift store. Her breath fogged in the air. Her back ached from the stone floor. She started with the roof. She couldn't afford materials, so she scavenged. Tarp from a construction dumpster. Plywood from a demolished shed 2 miles down the road. She carried it back on foot, piece by piece, load by load. Her shoulders burned. Her hands blistered, then bled, then calloused. She taught herself from library books, basic carpentry, waterproofing, mortar repair. She didn't understand everything, but she read each page twice, 3 times, until something clicked. The plumbing was dead. The wiring was gutted. The north wall had a crack she could fit her hand through. Every fix revealed 2 more problems. She patched the crack with mortar she mixed by hand in a plastic bucket. It held for 3 days, then it rained and the crack split wider. She patched it again. It split again. The 3rd time, she reinforced it with wire mesh she found behind the auto shop. The owner caught her. "Hey, get away from there." She ran. That night, she ate half a can of cold beans and stared at the ceiling. The wind came to every gap. Snow was coming. She could feel it. One morning, the front door wouldn't close. The hinge had rusted through. She spent 4 hours trying to fix it with a rock and a bent nail. It didn't work. She sat on the church steps, forehead on her knees, and cried. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quiet, exhausted tears that she wiped away with dirty hands. "I can't do this," she said. "Nobody's coming. Nobody cares. This place is going to fall apart, and I am going to fall apart with it." She looked at the church. Broken windows. Sagging walls, the bell tower leaning just slightly like even it was tired. "Walk away," the voice in her head said. "Find the shelter. Find a bridge. Anything is better than this." Lily stood up. She turned toward the road. She took 1 step. Then she stopped. The wind shifted. And from somewhere above, from inside the bell tower, she heard something. A low metallic groan. Not the wind. Something else. Something shifting. She looked up at the tower. Stood there for a long time. Then she turned around, walked back inside, and picked up her tools. "One more day," she whispered. That night, Lily climbed the bell tower stairs for the first time. The steps were narrow and rotted. 2 gave way under her weight. She caught herself on the railing, heart slamming. Easy, easy. At the top, the bell hung crooked in its frame, green with age, silent. But the sound hadn't come from the bell. It had come from behind it. Lily squeezed past the bell and pressed her hands against the back wall. Stone. Cold. Solid, except one section wasn't. She pushed harder. A hollow sound. She knocked with her knuckles. Definitely hollow. Her pulse quickened. She went back down, grabbed a flathead screwdriver and a flashlight with dying batteries, and climbed back up. She worked at the mortar around the hollow stone for over an hour. Her fingers cramped. Dust filled her lungs. Then the stone shifted. She pulled it free. Behind it was a space, narrow, dark, sealed with a wooden panel. She pried the panel loose. Inside was a metal box, heavy, rusted at the edges, but intact. She carried it down the stairs slowly, carefully, like it might disappear if she moved too fast. She set it on a pew and opened it. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, were 3 things. A leather pouch heavy with old gold coins. A folded deed to the property, the original one, dated 1923. And a small notebook, its cover cracked and brown with age. Lily opened the notebook. The handwriting was careful but fading. The name on the first page read Ezra Marsh. Lily's breath caught. Marsh. Her name. Her hands trembled as she turned the pages. The early entries were simple. Notes about construction. Costs. Lumber shipments. The church had been built by Ezra Marsh with his own hands, his own money. Then the entries changed. "They built this town on promises," Ezra wrote. "I gave them the church. I gave them the gathering hall. I gave them credit when the bank wouldn't." The ink grew heavier. "They thanked me by erasing my name from the records. Said the church was county property. Said I never had a claim. The final entries were sparse. Short, tired. I won't fight them, he wrote. Fighting makes you like them. I'll leave what I have where only someone patient enough, stubborn enough, will find it. Not in the vault, not in the foundation. In the place closest to the sky. The last line read, "If you're reading this, you didn't walk away. That means more than gold. That means you're ready." Lily sat in the dark church holding a dead man's notebook. Her great-great-great-grandfather's notebook. She didn't cry. She was past that. She just sat there feeling the weight of it, all of it, the coins in her hand, the name on the page, the years between them collapsed into this single moment. She sold 3 of the coins, carefully, quietly, through a dealer 2 towns over who asked no questions. It was enough. Enough to buy proper materials. Enough to fix the roof for real. Enough to get the plumbing running and the wiring safe. She did most of the work herself. What she couldn't do, she traded for. Fixed a farmer's fence in exchange for lumber. Cleaned out a woman's attic for electrical wire. Slowly, the church changed. The walls held. The windows were replaced. The floor was leveled and sealed. The front door hung straight on new hinges. People noticed, not all at once. A nod here, a wave there. The woman from the hardware store started holding materials aside for her. A retired electrician stopped by one Saturday and helped her wire the main hall, wouldn't take a penny. By winter, the church was warm. By spring, it was alive. Lily opened the main hall 3 nights a week as a free study space for kids in the area. She stocked it with library donations. She kept the heat on. She asked nothing in return. Then, one afternoon, a familiar car pulled up to the church. Clean, expensive, out of place. Margaret Bellamy stepped out, and this time she wasn't smiling. She looked smaller somehow, tired around the eyes. She stood at the entrance and stared at the restored building like she was seeing it for the first time. "I need to talk to you," she said. Lily leaned against the door frame. She waited. Margaret exhaled. "The town council is under audit. Budget mismanagement. My name is on everything." She paused. "They're talking about cutting funding to the youth programs. All of them." She looked at Lily directly. "You're the only one in this town actually running something that works. I need your help." Silence. Lily studied her. This was the woman who had laughed at her, who had called the church a disaster, who had told her to give up. This was the moment Lily could close the door, could turn her back, could let it feel good. Instead, she opened the door wider. "Come inside," she said. "Tell me what the kids need." Margaret blinked. She opened her mouth, then closed it. She stepped through the door. They talked for 2 hours. Lily never made the gold public. She never told anyone about Ezra Marsh's notebook. Some things aren't meant to be announced. They're meant to be continued. She used what she had to expand a study hall into a full youth center. Tutoring, meals, a safe place to sleep for kids who had nowhere else. She called it the Marsh House. Not after herself, after him. The man who built something with his own hands and watched the world try to take it. The man who chose to hide his treasure where only persistence could find it. Years later, a girl showed up at the front door, 15, scared, holding a garbage bag of clothes. She looked at Lily with hollow eyes. "Is it true you let people stay here?" Lily looked at her for a long moment. She saw the rain-soaked porch, the locked chain, the $11. "Come in," she said, and she meant it the way no one had ever meant it for her. Every night before she locked up, Lily climbed the bell tower stairs. She'd stand at the top, hand on the cold stone where the box had been, and look out over the town. The church still leaned slightly. The bell still didn't ring, but it stood, and so did she. An $11 decision hadn't just bought a condemned building. It had bought her a fight, a history, a purpose, and a question she carried with her every single day. When someone tells you you're worthless, what will you choose to believe? So let me ask you, what would you have done that night on the church steps? Would you have walked away, or would you have climbed the tower just one more time? If this story stayed with you, if it made you feel something real, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next story.